the Extra Rvrb Podcast with your host, Aaron May.
All right, everybody, welcome in. This is the Extra Rvrb Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron May, as usual. We are getting back into it, 2024. I know it's been a minute, but we all know life gets crazy, especially, during election years and things are going nuts, new family members. I'm sitting down today. I have the privilege to sit down with Brandon Johnson. He is a motivational speaker, a performance coach, third-degree black belt multiple times over, if I'm not mistaken. He is a business builder and the founder of the Worthy Warrior Mentorship Program. Oh, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I'll let him tell you. Brandon, thanks for sitting down with us.
Hey, happy to be here, man. Look at that energy, though, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, got me off guard right there, dude. That was fantastic.
I appreciate it, man. Again, thank you for being here. And, we are always looking for interesting people. And when I met you going on 2 years ago, I said, this is a very interesting guy. I got to looking at your social media and I was like, I gotta have a bigger conversation with this guy. And I couldn't think of a better place to do it than right here. So for the people at home, my introduction didn't do you justice. So for the people at home,
Sure.
Who are you? Who is Brandon Johnson? Where do you come from? Start at the beginning.
Yes, man. Well, okay, so born and raised, Colorado Springs, Colorado. Okay, we'll go ahead and start there. Come from a lifelong of entrepreneurs that are actually well endowed and well grooved into the martial arts industry, right? As degree black belts and everything else of that nature. As much as I'd love to say, oh yeah, that was something I picked up when I was 24. I'm 30 now. No, I've actually had the privilege to be born and raised into the martial arts due to the fact that my parents were entrepreneurs of martial arts, right?
Oh, okay.
So they've been, my mom actually met my dad in one of his karate schools. So it's super interesting concept there, right? Now, obviously they fall in love and then I appear. Now, I have an older brother. I got a younger sister, but I'm the coolest. At least that's what I'm told.
Of course.
With being able to be brought up around masters, man, to be able to be brought up around specific types of upbringing. I don't know if you know anything about martial arts, but there's three core aspects, right? You got your mind, you got your body, you got your spirit, right? So then you take the principles of martial arts, but then I get to see my parents build their dynasty, so to speak, with the entrepreneurial route and the backbone of resiliency, backbone of follow through, backbone of spirit and having faith, right? So I get the best of both worlds, Aaron, where I get to master my body. I get to master my mind and my spirit from a young age because I'm surrounded by people that are pretty much masters of personal development, right?
That's awesome.
So from a young age all the way up to I'm 30 now, I've been engulfed and surrounded by a lot of amazing people. And because of that, as a byproduct off of the things, I am a byproduct off of the environment and the culture and so on, that I've just been able to pretty much weave the inner workings of all of these modalities and methodologies into my businesses today, into my families today, into the roles that I play, all of these things. And Aaron, I can't lie to you, man, it served me extremely well, man. So I can go even further in on that. But for the gist of everything, that's the upbringing. That's where I come from. And I feel like as if I wouldn't prefer any other way, man, because let me tell you, this shit's awesome. I love my life. I love my life, man. It's wonderful.
That's awesome.
Yeah, brother. Yeah.
Now, martial arts was a family thing. So is what you're doing now, is that what got you into not only the martial arts scene, but also the business scene? Did you learn that from your family, learn kind of the inner workings of it, and then you go off on your own? Or is this built off of what you've done, built off of the family business? Like, how did that happen?
Fantastic question, man. Good at what you do. So what ended up happening was I grew up in the martial arts, as I said, played many sports, very much involved in the athletes, maybe not necessarily the classrooms. I had friends though. I had friends help me out. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
A little bit of the protecting. It was a good trade-off, man. These guys don't get bullied. I don't get Fs. Huh?
Yeah, that's perfect. There you go. A little bodyguard action.
Yeah. Now that was many moons ago, Aaron, many moons ago. And then I decided that I was going to go ahead and try the college route. And I went to what is known as Pikes Peak Community College, baby.
Okay. I've actually heard of that.
Yeah. I went there for a good 2 minutes. I went there for a good 2 minutes, long enough to realize that I'm spending a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of money in a position, in a place at which I don't feel like I'm not very much called to. Fortunately, I have the background of the martial arts, of that entrepreneurial spirit, of resiliency, enough self-belief to the point where I decided to open up my first business fresh out of high school. Now, this is, oh man, like I said, many moons ago. I'm trying to think what business that was. And I'd ask Aaron not to even, and anybody who's listening, not to judge me based on my accomplishments, but based off of the failures that led me to the accomplishments.
Love that.
Right. I'd ask that you base me off of the resiliency, key word that keeps coming up, that you base me off of the faith and the belief and the surrendering and through this entire process to be where I am now and where I'm going to continue to grow to, of course. But as I was saying, was that something that I necessarily grew, and did I bring the martial arts context into my very first business? Well, yeah, because that's all that I knew. That's all that I know. So to abandon that, to create something off of, a weak foundation, it's not going to work.
Right. No, yeah, absolutely.
The foundation will give. So yes, Aaron, that's all I know. And it's been able to stick with me, those key components, concepts, understandings from the martial arts through business to business to business, to where I got to a point now, man, where it's never the system. It's never the strategy. It's never the KPI or the SOP. Brother, it's all about you. 100%.
Couldn't agree more.
Not even what you're willing to do. It's more so what you're willing not to do. What you're willing to not tolerate. First from yourself, but then second from the people that, you are leading into a victory, right?
Sure.
So everything is just a catalyst based off the perspective, the reality, the understandings, the composure of who you are. So yeah, we can go too far in on that as well. Don't want to take the time, but does that beat the living ever shit out of your answer for you?
Yeah, it really did.
Cool, man. Cool.
So for me, my knowledge on martial arts, I did Marine Corps martial arts once upon a time, and which is a combination of several different martial arts. I think you're in karate, if I'm not correct, was your expertise, or you have multiple fields of expertise within karate?
Correct. So karate you can think of as the base of the tree, but then the base has different branches, right?
Mm-hmm.
My dad would once say, son, if you think like a dinosaur, you're going to suffer the same consequences.
I like that.
So mom and dad, they've been around for well over 50 years inside of their business in a brick and mortar, which is crazy. They've outlasted
That is unbelievable.
the internet. But nevertheless, we wouldn't be here today if we didn't adapt. So base is karate, but we specialize in self-defense, right? And for the understanding between the two is you have sport-based martial arts. So a lot of MMA guys, or a lot of boxing. I'm a boxer myself. A lot of that, there's rules, there's regulations that we abide by, there's rounds, and there's point systems, right? And that's something that is awesome because it allows you to have longevity to train for, whereas self-defense is no rules, no margins, no boundaries. It's very to the point. It's not for the judges or for the scorecards. It's for survival, right? It's for extinguishing the threat, so you don't just win the battle and have to face the war later. We want to win it all one time, one and done. So it's very lethal, it's very deadly, but I'd like to pride that with, that's why I'm so happy, right? The best form of martial arts, brother, is your words, your tongue, your navigation. Yeah, there's a great book called, I think it's called Verbal Judo. Believe it or not, I've never read it, but I'm pretty sure it's the concept of that. But
okay.
Yeah, man. So specialize in self-defense, karate being the base root of that.
Okay.
Continue on with what you were saying about your military martial arts training. Karate.
Yeah, it's just part of what you do in the Marine Corps. You kind of, the same belt system, same exact thing as what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The one thing that I always knew is like 90% of the moves ended with heel to skull. And that it was
The groin, one of the two.
very lethal.
Yeah.
On purpose. But honestly, my biggest one of my biggest takeaways from that, and it's carried over in a lot of ways, not just in the military in general, but especially like with the martial arts side of things. And I think you'll agree, discipline is so huge. And I don't just mean like technically, I mean mentally, like having that discipline to stay focused is so huge. And obviously that's carried over to other areas of your life, because you don't discipline is part of the base of that tree you're talking about, in my opinion. And if you're not disciplined, like, well, you're not going to get anything done, right? I'm a big believer in a brick a day. Every single day you got to lay that brick, and eventually you'll have your castle, right? It's not going to happen overnight. Just every day do something, take one step towards what you're trying to do every single day, and you'll keep moving, you'll get there. But don't forget that the journey is the destination. We all come to find out, right? So when you talked about your parents have been around for 50 years, is that still the adaptation? Is that something you help them with, staying and adapting and evolving that business? Is that something that you got experience with, or did you come back and help them out? Did you help them out at all at any point?
Sure. So since it's a family-based business, right? You find yourself helping out the family at the school. You see it a lot in Japanese and Chinese tradition, a lot. Now, to answer your question, I've had the privilege to be able to essentially move from a student to a teacher to a instructor to a chief instructor now. I got to update the thing I sent you where it's been a few notches up since I update that. But nevertheless, have I, had that in the adaptation? It's been a 50-50. It's been a balance, my brother, because, with the family, they are wise enough to understand the power of adaptability, but then at the same time, sticking to your strengths and your roots, right? Not falling into shiny object syndrome, which I'm sure I know of. So absolutely. They would tap into me to be able to bring in the newness, a new flavor, to keep things lively. However, they have the wisdom of years and years and years on knowing and can see what's going to burn out and fizzle out based off of an instant gratification, catalyst, or what's going to be stick around, become a part of a dynasty, a legacy, a lineage, so to speak. Now, again, as I grow up through the martial arts and through the ranks, I've been able to then be in a position to where I am now owning and running and managing and bringing up my own black belts to overtake, a branch currently, and or go out and create their own school, create their own branch off of the tree, so to speak. So a little bit of both, man. And again, it's a privilege more than anything. It wasn't anything that was, here you go, son, this is it. Before I was able to be able to understand that aspect of the martial arts, you're talking endless. I stopped counting at job 12.
Okay. Yep. Totally relate to that, man.
Yeah, to build that value. But believe it or not, the martial arts, while it is a thing, it's actually not my thing. That's just the thing I grew up in. My thing is completely separate of the martial arts, to develop me, to deploy. I'm still actively training, actively teaching till this day. But in the mornings and the afternoons, I get to build my own dynasty, my own legacy, my own, in a sense, corporation, lineage, if you will. But then in the evenings, I get to go back to the school to help out the family and to make sure that those black belts are up and coming, and to make sure that, the wheel and the wagons continue to roll, so to speak. Sure. So it's a wonderful thing, man. It's a wonderful
That's thing. Awesome. So It sounds like you got a lot on the plate, a lot of places you want to get to, a lot of things you want to do. Now, I got to ask, so coming up, doing all the martial arts stuff, go to college, decide, hey, that's not for me. This is a scam or whatever. That's how I feel about it. How the heck did you get into motivational speaking? I think kind of performance coaching carried over from the martial arts background. I think that could be inferred, but I mean, the motivational speaking, were you performance coaching and then got asked to motivational speak, or did you just put yourself out there like, hey, I'm willing to do this? Tell me that story.
So it was never a thing where I was like, oh, I'm going to go take a motivational speaking course, or anything of that nature. I'm a firm believer in God, my man. And my view on God is interesting because it's not necessarily, I would say, the most common, but I believe at which the God that I serve is not separate of me. I believe that God is actually within me. I believe that I am actually an aspect of God experiencing life through Brandon Johnson's eyes. Now that's very esoterical, but at the end of the day, I got to a point where I got to a place where instead of begging and pleading for blessings and gifts, it went more so of, Lord, if I am you and you are me, as above, so below, show me what I am here to complete in your name. And then through that, my friend, I started to realize that speaking was not something that I went and got. It was a thing that I was born with. It was a form of expression that ever since I was a kid, I love listening to myself speak. I love listening to my voice, man.
Fair enough.
On TikTok, I have a small amount of virality. There's a little over 100,000 followers via that app. And I promise you, I probably watch my videos more than anybody.
Motivating yourself.
Yeah, nevertheless, the motivational speaking, I'm a big believer in manifestation, law of attraction. That's actually what I've built my core business on, was how to essentially, all right, here we go. We're going to go off the rails a little bit. How to essentially get to a place and to a point where we're not committing spiritual suicide in pursuit of materialistic gain or security.
Sure.
What I actually do is, where it started out was I specialized one-on-one with executives, entrepreneurs, business corporation owners, all these things that unfortunately were programmed from a young age that if they don't have these things, that they are not worthy of love. So what do? They abandon themselves. They get the degrees, the white picket fence, the houses, the girls, and they get all the things. But for some reason, Aaron, it's just not a longevitable approach to feeling satisfied and happy.
Yep.
So they have the Lamborghini, and while they have the portfolio, they'll look at their mirror and they're overweight, they're overwhelmed, they're overcomplicating everything. They don't know their wife, they have no time for their children, and they get to a point where they're realizing, what is all this for? Now, this is the amazing part about it is through the work that I'm able to do, I'm able to get them to kind of pump life back into that spirit so that we can start to bring life back to the things that we or they like to cultivate and create. So then this is a segue into this thing called reality creation. Well, if you know of anything about realities or esoterical knowledge or anything of that nature, guys, reality is already created, but based off your thoughts, your feelings, and your emotions. Your stories, your meanings, your definitions, your perspective.
Yep.
You then get to align within the reality of your choosing through the power of God. Now, let me rewind this all the way back here, and I know I'm taking it and running with it, brother.
I love
it. Where did I get into motivational speaking? I think a job is something you go get. I think a career is something you buy. But your gift, my brother, that's the thing that'll never leave you. You cannot separate from it. It's the thing at which God has given to you to create your life, your dream reality, your heaven on earth with the gift that has been a privilege, that has been given to you from your creator, whether that's God, Allah, whoever, whoever it is that it is for you. But nevertheless, to answer your question, a long-winded answer, how did I get into motivational speaking? I didn't ever get into motivational speaking. Speaking was just what I do. Through the focus of cultivating that gift, through the focus of being able to harness that, then I have attracted a lot of things, a lot of amazing things that was not done by me, my brother. It was done by my focus and by my faith and by my gift, and operating in those three, and not a college, and not trying to abandon myself to get the praise of somebody else or get the money or all that.
Yeah.
It's amazing, man. I'm in a position where I get to bless others because I focus on my blessing. Whoa. We ready? Did you catch all that?
No,
You got
look.
that, man?
Look, that I couldn't agree more with what you're saying, and unbelievable answer.
Sweet.
Yeah, unbelievable answer. And I couldn't agree more with what you're saying. And you'd be surprised how similar I think some of our views on those things are. I'm a big believer in baseline, go with the flow, and your world. Everybody's world is different because it's projection of the mind and our senses, and you have the ability to control it, but you're here. This life is a big classroom, and that's all that it is. We're here taking that curriculum of life, and it's deeper than Brandon Johnson and Aaron May and all what have you. And you just got to go for the ride. I think too many people are swimming against the current, and things today, like you talked about, not selling yourself out basically to please other people. Do what you love, because ultimately I'm a big believer that you're going to do this 1,000,001 more times, and you're going to figure it out, and you just got to let it come. And most of the times that I've found, when I don't like to say fail, when I learn lessons, right, to keep going, most of the times in the end, it was better that I didn't succeed at what I wanted at that time. Before I realized what I want really doesn't matter. I got to go after, I just got to, very intuitive. I like to live intuitively. And when you go against that, it's funny how things don't work out. And as soon as you just give into it, it's like all of a sudden you start getting everything that you ended up wanting in the first place. So it sounds like we're on the same page with that.
Right. We got it.
So on that note,
yeah.
At what point did you realize that speaking, what you said you always like to talk, but at what point did you realize, like, this is what I'm supposed to do, and I'm going to do it? And what was the thing that kicked you in the ass to do it, right? To go with that.
All right. It's going to be another answer for you.
I love it. I'm here. Right. That's what I'm here for.
So I'm going to say 2016 to 2019, right before COVID, about three-ish years. I decided that I was going to go ahead and create my second or third business, an online fitness-based business.
Okay.
So it was like an online coaching, if you will. Got the nutrition, we got that. But I never really had the heart for telling and showing and creating workout programs.
Yeah, that was great timing, though, like right before COVID, because during COVID, it would have taken off.
Boom, man. And I mean, more power to it. Everybody's locked in, and, you get the correct type of, other people, normal people, average people say, I had the right systems and strategies.
You could have been Peloton, man.
Yeah, dude, for real, man. So, nevertheless, I got an app. Boom, things start rolling. I start team building and developing, getting the right people in the right places on the bus, so to speak.
Sure.
Everything's great. Business is booming. Buying the Disney World trips. First trip out to Florida, realize, I'm going to talk to Aaron now because I'm ready to move to Florida. Here we go.
Florida's the shit. That's the way it is.
And at the peak of everything, I was not happy. The good news is all my employees were happy. All of the clients were happy. But I already knew, Brandon, you're about to burn this whole thing to the ground. Because what you love to do is you like to be a spokesperson for change. So what would happen is in that business, we would run community calls. Had a community, run community calls via Zoom. One of the calls would be a mindset call. I would run that one. And then the other would be a nutrition call and a coaching call. That's what my, team would run. Mm-hmm. I loved it. I look forward to that. And something inside of me said, okay, you're going to build your next business all about speaking, mentoring. You, Brandon, are a spokesperson for change. You're a programmer. So, all right, here we go, Aaron. There's this thing called a subconscious mind. Okay? And this thing called your subconscious mind pretty much operates everything in your life. And it's a very spiritual backed place. It's a very physically, I would say, I don't want to speak in too large words, but basically it's in charge of your blood running through your veins and pumping your lungs and making sure that everything is operating. It's a very powerful unit of the mind. Nevertheless, what I get to do is I get to be a spokesperson for change to shift, reprogram subconscious minds in a way of my speaking that makes it undeniable to the listener. That's what I love to do. So I got that download while my business is at the height of everything. And then I decided to not listen to that voice there. And I decided, oh, heck no, I'm not telling my employees that I'm going to freaking throw the towel. And no way, these guys they love what they do. Yeah. That thing started burning down so fast, Aaron. It was out of my control. There is a law called the law of attraction. There's another law called the law of repulsion. Mm-hmm. For all the entrepreneurs and business owners on this call, this is one that you may want to research and look into. But nevertheless, whatever holds too much focus, naturally the universe will even it out and neutralize it. Case in point, we've all been that guy that had that hot chick, and you know what? You see that hot chick, and then there's like 17 dudes that are blowing her up on her Instagram and on our TikTok and all of that. And it's just so much attention going towards her, but she wants the one guy that's not giving that attention. It's because the 16 guys are repelling. They're chasing. They've pedestalized her. The one guy that she wants has not pedestalized her. He pedestalized something else, preferably him. And then now in comes the attraction, and on the other side is the repellents. Sure. Well, I got to a point where all of my clients are leaving my business. Nobody's making their payments on time. And then on top of that, the systems, the strategies that I was implementing for marketing and getting people into the door stopped working because my energy sucked. You know what happened is, Aaron, is I changed my focus. And believe it or not, you get what you focus on, whether you want it or not. So at that time, before all this awesome wisdom, I'm focusing on the fact that I don't have clients. Everything's not working to get more clients in the door, and I'm burning money, and I'm churning like crazy, and I can't pay my clients, and I'm doing everything I can to save this business because I don't want to deal with the shame, I don't want to deal with the guilt, and I don't want to deal with the hard conversations of letting go of my employees where I'm feeding their families. And I took all that pressure on, and at that time I was a very prideful guy. Oh, a guy like me can't accept help? No way. I'm the super sexy coach, mentor, martial artist guy who's motivational, has everything together.
Yeah.
I got my freaking window open listening for the Repo Man. Meanwhile, I got freaking bill collectors that are my best fans. They call me every day. Oh my gosh. Meanwhile, I can't afford diapers. I can't afford top ramen. I can't afford the dollar store. Meanwhile, I'm having anxiety attacks at 3 o'clock in the morning in my bathroom because I don't want anybody to see me cry. Meanwhile, at the point where I'm so good at wearing the mask of everything is okay, is the most empty and lost and out of control I ever have been. And Tony Robbins says there's no business problems. There's only personal problems that manifest in business. It's so very true. Because everything listens to me. Because I'm not a business owner. I am the business. Yeah. And if I'm showing up with shit energy, with a shit focus, and I'm not focused on what's going right, but I'm focused on everything going wrong, how could that business not frickin' burn out? So then, okay, I got no income. I got a son on the way. I got a 1.5-year-old, 2-year-old. I got a 10-year-old. I got a lovely woman who I promised her parents that I'd be able to take care of at the time when I met Heather. Heather was a single mom, lives 2 hours away from me in Fort Collins. Okay. But you know what? My business is booming. I got everything together. Getting the houses, getting the cars, getting the trips to Disney World, all the way to I can't get ramen, I can't get diapers, and I got to call mama for help. So you go from the top line to the bottom, and then go below that bottom line. Where you got the money, then you don't have the money, and then you have negative money. And you get to a point where you're doing all the things. But because of the heightened intention, the heightened importance, and how frequencies, vibrations, and energy works, little did I know I'm repelling away any opportunity that's coming to me because my energy is off. My focus is shit. So I'm praying for months, over and over again, just skimming by, having conversations with God. And then I realized that, wait a minute, this thing called gratitude is the deepest form of prayer. If there's an individual begging for prayer, it doesn't get answered. Meanwhile, some of the most evil people on this planet are rich, are wealthy, living the best life. How does this work?
Yeah.
It's because when you pray to an entity that is outside of you and you believe it is, it cannot touch you. But when you pray to the entity that is within you, through it is already done. And I give thanks and I give blessings. Well, then my blessings start to thank me. Because now I'm aligned with the power at which that I have. Nevertheless, the voice I kept hearing in my head, Aaron, nice snowy night here in Colorado. All I hear, Aaron, is, son, do you need money to use the gift I've given you? You know, it reminds me of Moses. And I'm not a religious individual by any means, but I do have a relationship. Okay. The Moses, you know, if you know anything about it, he's going to get these awesome people out of Egypt, and he gets to this place called the Red Sea, and he's like, oh shit, what do I do now? Homeboy Ramses is coming to kill us, and God says, use what's in your hand. I think that's a metaphor for use the gift I've given you.
Yeah.
So then, bang, he slams the staff, open the waters, they go around, everything's great. But I think that's another metaphor that says when you use the thing that your higher source has given you, then your higher source can then utilize that gift to operate through you. So here I am. I have no money. I have no opportunities. I have no connections, but I have the one thing, which is my gift. And so I decided I'm not getting a 9-to-5. I decided I'm not going to go and, deploy all of my talent inside of a business that's not going to be able to treat me the way that I know I can treat myself. I'm going to go all in. I mean, I'm already broke.
Yeah.
So I started to deploy my gift and harness my gift. And the next thing you know, I have 3 videos in particular via TikTok that have topped over 5 million views per video. And then there's all kinds of stuff. Now, I don't want to talk about the vanity. I'm talking about the certainty that I did not have in that point in time. The only certainty I had was I was broke. And the only next thing I had was an opportunity to use the thing that I have to take care of the thing at which I could take care of. And now I'm in a point and I'm in a position where I'm being celebrated for the gift that I use. And now I get to make other people multimillionaires by strictly just the motivational speaking, or it's a God-given ability at which I have to be a programmer, a spokesperson for change, to get you to understand universal principles and laws, to get your subconscious to understand things so that you get to understand heaven on earth. And it's not through hardships and sacrifice, it ain't it. It's through allowance, surrender, and love with a clear intention, a clear vision, and a nice energy, baby.
Yeah.
You get those? Oh, Aaron.
That-
Aaron, are we having the same conversation, Aaron?
Absolutely, man.
Okay.
Absolutely. This is what I was looking for. This is what I was looking for. I knew it would be some stuff like this. And I loved the Moses reference. That was a good outlook on that. I hadn't heard that before. But I couldn't agree more that it's that kind of metaphor for using what's given to you. And ultimately, like, if you also, another way that comes to mind to look at that is when you surrender to it, which you also talked about surrendering to it, the path will be shown to you, right? When you kind of give into, it may not be what I had in mind, but now it's also clear that this is the way it's supposed to go, right? And when you're able to go with your intuition on those kind of things, which is that probably, see if you agree with me, that subconscious voice, right? Where it's just like that inner heart mind that is just like, this is the right thing to do. Even though it's scary, a lot of time for me at first, when I started really doing that, it was scary. It's scary because it's like, most of the time it's against what you're thinking. And you're like, no, but when you have faith, when you go for it, you get there. And it also sounds like, from experience, similar experience, like, I feel like you have to hit rock bottom to realize that it's all grace, and that you need to be, like you said, grateful for those things. And for a lot of people, unless they hit that rock bottom and go below that rock bottom, you don't realize it. You have to be humbled to separate yourself from that ego of this is who I am, this is what I do, right? Banging on the chest and not deviating. But it's so much easier. It's so much more fun, and it's so much lighter when you just go with it and you realize it's going to be fine, right? It's going to be fine. It's all going to work out exactly how it's supposed to, right? Unbelievable answer. So, which it brings me to my next question.
Sure.
When you got into all this and the motivation beginning, are you a believer that I found this person's mentoring, I'm going to mentor this person, I'm going to change their mind? Or is it more of I'm going to speak what I know and what I believe, and the person that needs to hear it will hear it, and the other people may not hear it, and that's okay? Or are you trying to get every single person you speak to hear and understand it?
It's a great question, man. Phenomenal question. All about it, or all of my, I would say, intention when going about it, whether it's a warm lead, whether it's a person who's just now seeing my face, or an individual that I've been working with for years. My intention, brother, is to be in the present moment. Now, what exactly does that mean? There's listening to reply, and then there's listening to understand, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So I was not always this way. In the beginning of my entrepreneurship, it was, just brutal. I was going by the script, right?
Sure.
Oh, get on the closing call and you go by the script and you go through the pain points and you da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got to a point where authenticity, transparency, those two things will take you further than a script ever will.
Amen.
There's the last thing, though, which is the understanding of faith and detachment. Which means, oh man, I need this clothes, I need to pay this rent, I need to pay this, I need this clothes, and there's a high level of attachment. And It's about versus I do have needs, I do have bills, and yes, this would be necessary, but if I only think about me, it never leads to anything. But if I think about what's good for this conversation with whatever the circumstance, the situation, whatever it is, in the present moment, I can then be transparent. In the present moment, I can then be authentic. In the present moment, if I think about even if that closing does not happen, I have the faith that something else is meant for it. And it always happens that way, Aaron. Always.
100%.
So there's a difference between force and power, right? There's a book on that. Again, I didn't read it, but there's a book on that.
I know about it.
Power versus force or something along the lines. But when you can stay within the pedestalization of yourself,
mm-hmm.
I've realized that through the understanding of what is my intention for this individual. My intention is whatever they feel like they need. Because if they feel like they need something, well, then I have the availability and the ability, the capability to deliver on that. I'm actually at a point where I tell more people no than I do yes. Wasn't always that way. But
Sure.
The reason is because I understand the value at which I hold my time, my energy, and my focus. Currency and money, that comes and goes like clouds in the sky.
Sure.
But the time, the energy, and the focus that you decide to deploy to an individual, well, I believe that in this in this exchange like this for you and me, I automatically know that this has nothing to do. I don't expect any gain from this.
Sure.
But you have the intention of being able to share time, energy, and a focus with you. And then talk to you after about houses and shit. But nevertheless,
I was waiting for that one. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah. But my intention, though, bro, whenever I'm meeting somebody new, is what can I give to you? What can I offer you? Now, giving and offering is two different things. Giving is what can I give? Okay, I can. What can I offer? Meaning, what can I do to provide a solution for you? If you need the solution and I have the solution, well, then we can go ahead and talk about what it looks like to work together for that.
Sure.
But some people, while they want change, they're not ready for it, big man. While they admire and dream of a life that's a little bit more easy, they're just not willing to go to that 0 point. They're not willing to go broke. They'd much rather stay in the familiar without the faith.
Right.
So to answer your question, yes, brother. What is my intention? My intention is to be in the present moment with transparency, with honesty, and with
Authenticity.
authenticity. We'll go with that. Yeah. And then through that, I can be. And through the beingness, I will behave the way that I should. And if it's supposed to happen, then it will naturally come and go. But if not, that's okay as well. Right place, maybe not the right time. I'm not going to force that. I used to be that forceful guy, but kind of what you're talking about, man. Going with the flow and understanding what comes, what goes, goes. But I'm good. I'm good.
That's
Yeah.
awesome, man. Firing today. I love it, man.
Come on, man. That's what I do,
A lot of
dude.
good energy. I knew it. I knew our energies were aligned. Now I'm going to shift gears a little bit.
Let's go.
What would you say in your many business ventures leading up to now? What was I don't even know if they would be the same thing, but the hardest lesson that you had to learn? And is it the same as the best lesson that you had to learn?
I'd say you could build a case for either or. Right now, I'll build a case that, yes, they were both. Hardest lesson that I had to learn was accepting help. Period.
That's great.
Accepting help. Not receiving help, but first accepting and then receiving. Because why? We're all built that as men, we're supposed to have the answers. As men, if we don't have money, if we don't have security, if we're not a stand-up citizen, if we struggle, then we fail.
It's just ego structure.
Exactly, man. Rough. No. And for the longest time, until my breakthrough that I had to have, the lesson that was able to be acquired was when I completely not surrendered my gift and my goal and my vision, but surrendered the fight of making it happen. Meaning, I laid down my swords and I let my higher self, I let God, I let faith, I let my identification within my self-identity be enough. Mm-hmm. Not how much hours I put in, not how many messages I sent or outreach I did or clients that I did or clients that I helped. No, man. The hardest lesson I had to learn was to sit down in front of a mirror and tell myself in my eyes for 45 minutes, I stopped counting at 45, I surrender, I give up, I let go. On repeat, 45. I mean, it was so bad, brother, to the point where I had so much tears running down my face. And I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a masculine son of a bitch. All right? Whole life involves punching people, getting punched in the face, breaking bricks, cool tricks, backflips, lifting weights, like masculine things. What am I doing sitting here telling you that crying?
I can feel the testosterone.
Single hardest thing I had to do was completely surrender. But then at the same time, it was the most powerful, single-handed, the most powerful experience that I've had for myself was to be honest, open, and vulnerable with myself and allow myself to feel it so I could heal it and then begin the development process of becoming through the strength that I had, the newfound strength, which is a holy strength. It's not just an ego strength.
Yeah.
Right? So, again, hardest thing, accepting help. Now, surrendering so that I could accept help to the point where if somebody saw I was in a hard spot and they offered me money, and I'd refuse it. Usually I didn't care how bad it got. I would rather suffer with figuring it out rather than to accept help or to accept a listening ear or to accept
like you'd rather take the L.
Yes. So I think I'm going to coin this term, this quote, but in the acceptance of your defeat, you gain your victory. That's what I learned. I had to accept defeat.
Now,
defeat and loss. Two different things, by the way.
Is there a specific instance of when this happened, like a specific event in your memory when this happened?
Many. There was...
When was the first time? Like the first time, like this is the breakthrough. You saw the light. When did that happen? What happened?
Okay.
Paint the picture for me.
So, and to make sure I'm understanding your question correctly, the first time I had to meet the hardest part of accepting help? Or
Yeah, the lifeline when you were like, I need help, and you just had, there was no other option. You had to give into it. Like, when did that happen? And then from that, because obviously it gets easier after that once you understand. But what was like the aha moment?
So I was 14 days past due on a car payment.
Okay.
Except this is the third month that a payment has not been made.
Okay. So we were 104 days from.
Yeah. But let me tell you, the car was badass. Oh, it was badass. Totally. But then beyond that, on the 15th of this specific month, I believe it was June 1st of 21, could have been 22.
So this was just recently.
Oh yeah. Ebbs and flows, man. I've seen a lot of money come through. I've seen not a lot of money. I've seen a lot of money go.
Okay.
This would be recently, because it's 24. So nevertheless, like I said, I like to fail fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
Here we are, and the next day was the 15th. And if you know anything about mortgages, mortgages need to be paid by the 15th. And I was already a month late on the rent. And then at the 15th, the fees and everything start. And so here I am, and I have, the $1 million morning routine. You wake up 5 o'clock in the morning, cold shower, freaking, rocky eggs down the throat. You freaking put on the hoodie and the headphones. You go out 5 a.m. in the morning. You go to your solo gym, that whole deal.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm in my gym at my karate school by myself, and it's early morning, right? It's a little bit crisp outside, and I'm setting up my weights and everything, and I have these big old like 8 to 10 foot mirrors, like 8 foot wide, 10 foot high, whole studio. Because remember, I used to run fitness studios and shit.
Yes.
Anyway, I decided that the burden and the weight and the pressure of having to call my co-signer of this vehicle to tell him it's most likely going to be repossessed, call my landlord to explain to them that I don't have the money to pay this rent, do what you need to do. Meanwhile, my refrigerator is bare. We're on our last diapers because, what is that? Lila was just a little itty-bitty thing. And to know
diapers are the business. Like, Jesus, it's like being in the ice business. Like, give me a break.
Ice or porta potty, one of the four, but three. Dog, it was so unbearable. It was so unbearable to the point to where I could not stand. Like, I've never done that before. I grew up in the martial arts. We don't have feelings and emotions, You get the wind knocked out of you. You get back up, or you just get pummeled while you're on the ground,
Yeah, or you're just a bitch.
That's what we're saying, like. So didn't necessarily have the tools inside of my tool belt in order to understand these emotions that needed to be felt so they could be dealt with, so they can be released. Got to the point where my suppression tactics were not working anymore. So I decided I'm going to sit and listen. If I'm going to go down like a bitch, I'm going to go out like a biatch. Okay,
yeah, right.
There is, dude. So here we go. Like I said, sat in front of that mirror, gazing into my own eyes with tears coming down. My shirt is drenched in snot and tears. It got so bad to the point where I completely surrendered to the point to, if I did not get another closing to save it, even if I did get a closing, I was so detached from it. I was so done trying to make these goals happen. Now watch this, bro. I kid you not. True story. About 2 hours later, I get a Voxer message from a fellow coach of mine who said, "Hey, Brandon, 2-3 months ago, you did a community call for me. There is a client of mine, her husband needs a mentor and a coach. She asked for you. Can you guys get on a phone because it's urgent?" An hour from that Voxer message, I get on a Zoom meeting with one of my best clients that I've ever had. He says, "Wow. I'll pay you whatever you need. I'll pay you whatever you cost. I will figure it all out. Didn't even let me get into what it is that I do. All he said is, if I don't get this right, I'm either going to die or I'm going to lose my marriage. If I lose my marriage, I definitely will die. So, needless to say, it was the seamless and the easiest close, as they all should be. But then in that one day, I paid off all 3 of my car payments, my rent for the next 6 months. In that one day. Now, is that by chance? I don't believe so.
I don't think chance is a thing.
Yeah, bro. Energy, frequency, vibration, and then understanding how vibration works, surrendering and releasing works. But then the biggest thing, when you get to a point where you stop crucifying yourself for not being perfect.
Right.
That is huge. When you can go day to day and just enjoy yourself, regardless of what your external world is showing you, how broke you may be, you have God in you, bro. Right? And then through, I'm not saying that God is the one that brought me that closing. I'm saying my obedience to myself and loving myself in the areas that I needed to then made a pathway for my vibration to attract to me what I thought that I needed because of my detachment of it. And then from that day, everything's been different because I understand now. Now I'm at the point where I get to teach this shit. Man.
Yeah.
Bada bing, bada
great.
boom. Does that answer your question, though, in regards to
100%? Great story, man. And, I don't think you're the only one, whoever is listening to this, I don't think you're the only one that's experienced a moment like that or been at a point like that. Or maybe you haven't, but it's probably coming if you're trying to go somewhere. Anybody that's done anything that's accomplished, and I don't even mean externally accomplished things. I'm not talking about like accolades, this kind of stuff. I'm talking about anybody that's done anything in their life that they've wanted to do, that's met a goal, has probably had a sacrifice like that or had a moment like that to where you got to go all in. You got no other options and you got to go all in and you got to stick to your guns and have faith. And it has a funny way of working out.
Yes.
Things have a funny way of always working out.
Yeah. Have you gone through a few things?
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. I've gone to sleep hungry plenty of times, and I've had, plenty of experiences of being rock bottom, feeling there's no way out. But then all of a sudden it comes along exactly what I needed. Even if I didn't know it at the time, it's exactly what I needed. And the timing is that's why I don't think chance is a thing. I think everything happens exactly as it should, even failures, even successes. It's whether we like it or not, it's just going to be what it is. And you just have to have the faith that you're going in the right direction and knowing that what's meant to be will be for you, despite your worldly goals and aspirations and things like that. I think if you have those, puts out that energy, right? It puts out that energy towards those things, which is the law of attraction that you're talking about. But ultimately, like the Tao Te Ching, I'm sure you know it, right? The truth waits for eyes unclouded by longing. So as soon as you stop wanting, as soon as those desire systems go away, which is the point, I think, of all this, is to get rid of those desire systems and just to surrender. And the earlier you can do that in life, we're younger. I'm 33, going to be 34 here in a couple weeks, but to realize that earlier in life, I think is a supreme gift. And a lot of people don't get to learn that lesson until they're on their deathbed but I think it takes an extreme event for someone to realize that ultimately and to hit that rock bottom. So such an inspirational story, man, and super inspiring guy. I'm going to wrap things up. I know you got a lot of stuff to do. You're super busy. You're still doing the $1 million morning routine, aren't you?
Oh man, I'm not afraid. A form of it. A form. We had to make a few. had to make a few tweaks, dog. But
okay, yeah. When you have kids, you have to make tweaks. It's like, yeah. So I like to do a little thing at the end of all the podcasts, just kind of yes or no, black and white kind of questions, just as a rattle off. It's a fun thing, right? Kind of cheesy, but it works. Okay. So I'm going to start off with day or night.
Day.
Day. Okay. Any Any specific reason for day? Quick.
Get to see more, get to experience more. And a lot of the fun that I like to have is in the daytime.
Okay. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Fried or grilled? Be honest.
Grilled.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Grilled.
I would love to say grilled, but man, fried chicken is my
That's up your alley, dude.
that's my one.
grilled
That's the
steak.
thing. I can't say no to a good
Yeah.
like chicken
I
finger.
don't know about fried steak, so.
Okay. Hey, yes, man.
Yeah,
We're in the
dude.
South over here. I know all about that country fried goodness.
That's it. Man.
Okay. Non-racial, black or white?
Black.
Yeah, had a little disclaimer there, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. I see. I didn't want to assume with your shirt, you know, you had black.
I got a black car, got a black shirt, got a
I
little
see it on
bit.
social media. Is that the Challenger you're driving? Is that what that? You got the Challenger working? Is that a Hellcat?
So it is a GT.
Okay.
I'm going towards the
Badass.
Hellcat, but in Colorado, rear-wheel drive cars don't really do all too hot.
Yeah.
So the GT's an all-wheel drive. So I was like, well, okay, we'll wait till Florida. But I'm going out to Florida, man, and I got my eyes on a GT 500 Mustang.
Okay. Love
That's
Mustangs.
Anyway, next question.
Okay. Oh man, I'm trying to think of another good one here. It's, I'm very food based because it's about this time I do the recordings and I get hungry and everything is like food, cold or hot?
Hot.
Hot? Oh, okay. Well, you're in Colorado, so that makes sense. That'll change when you get to Florida. You'll say cold every single time.
Dude, I don't know, man. It's been 30 years here in Colorado. I'm still not used to this.
You never left Colorado? You've only been in Colorado the whole time?
Born and raised. I've traveled, obviously.
Yeah. I mean,
No, I'll be moving from the home state to Florida here.
that'll be the first move.
Out of state.
That's pretty awesome. Where else have you lived in Colorado?
Just in the Springs. Colorado Springs. Yeah. It's the second biggest city to Denver.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Ready to
Yeah.
get that.
How do you feel about Boulder?
Boulder's cool, man. Boulder's cool. Yeah. Good
It's a cool
hiking.
place.
A lot of weed.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff. You get what you look for, man.
Isn't that all of Colorado at this point?
You would think so, but surprisingly, there's hot spots in Colorado for sure.
Yeah. I haven't been out there it's been a decade. It's been way too long. I was in Arizona for a while, out that way, and in Texas and all that. Lived out there for years. But Colorado was always a cool place to go visit. I dated a girl from, she lived in Denver at the time, but she was from, what's the place? Is it Littleton? Is that a place?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was it. I think that's where she was from. But yeah, love Colorado. Great atmosphere. All right, Brandon, plug yourself here for everyone that wants to come and check you out. Where can we find you? Social medias or a website?
Yeah. So here's the deal. There's a lot of people wearing my face. Okay. And I think it's not necessarily a bad thing. What I mean by that is there's a lot of fake accounts out there that like to wear my face and try to, impose. I don't blame you. I got a nice face, man. I get it. But the moment you start scamming people and shit, that's no good.
No, it's the worst.
Everybody here too is primarily the main focus where to see what's happening and the most relevant is going to be TikTok.
Okay.
Right. So the TikTok handle, and I can go ahead and send it on over to you so you can put it inside a.
Yeah, I'll put it. I'll put all your links in there.
Right. It's going to be at Self-Master Johnson. I'm the picture, the black and white picture of myself, not the karate kick picture, black and white. And then what you'll be able to see inside of there is inside of the link at the top of my page and or the bio. If you'd like to join our family, which is the Self-Mastery Mentorship Community, it's a month-to-month subscription. It's very low ticket. I just like to do what I love to do. And once you're inside of the community, you'll always have opportunities to level up with more one-on-one with myself and with the team and everything else of that nature. But
it's awesome.
In regards to service, that's the link. In regards of curiosity on the things at which we're teaching and vibing with, I'd say just go ahead and do your research, do your studies. The last thing I'll say is YouTube. We're actually giving a little bit more attention to YouTube. In regards of all the community calls that I run, all the meetings that I run that are done inside of the Self-Mastery Mentorship, you can find for free inside of the YouTube channel, which again,
Love
you can
it.
find using that link at the top of the page. But outside of that, man, for those that are ready, you know they're ready. And for those that will eventually be ready, hopefully we'll see you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys, check him out. TikTok, that's the place. That's where it's happening. Guys going viral over there because obviously, what an amazing voice, what an amazing personality, what amazing takes on life. Get in with Brandon. Thank you guys for listening. I'm your host, Aaron. As always, keep it real, keep it cool. We'll talk to you next time. See you later, guys.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Extra Rvrb Podcast.